Hello, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith, and this is Jamaica Magazine. Welcome. We have lots in store for you today. The details on registering a business, plus Commissioner of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Major Richard Reese, is back. This time he speaks about who can get a permit to import goods. If you want to make more money, then this is the show for you. Please stay with us.
Fever, rash, joint pain and red eyes. All common signs of the Zika virus or ZIKV. Symptoms are usually mild, lasting anywhere from a few days to a week. Jamaica has no Zika cases, but if it gets here, it would only be transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Don't give Zika a chance. Prevent the breeding of these pesky mosquitoes.
The use of oil, cooking oil, a little tip of cooking oil poured on the surface of the water suffocates the larvae and prevents them hatching out. So persons can do that.
As promised, the Customs Commissioner, Major Richard Reese, is this week's guest on Issues. He provides important answers on import permit laws and timely information on the much talked about customs bill. He's next with Ian Boyne.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. The Commissioner of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Major Richard Reese, is our guest. He's back this week to talk to us about the bill that is before the Committee of Parliament, looking at customs, the amendment to the Customs Act. We also want to talk to Major about this matter of permits. Who needs a permit? The kind of information that you want. We thank you for your company. Major, good to have you back.
Yes,
again. Yes, so who needs a permit, and how does one go about that?
Yes, permits are required by a number of regulatory agencies. You have the Ministry of Health, you have the Trade Board, you have the Commodity Board, such as the Coffee Industry Board. So there are a number of entities
that require permits
through their regulatory function.
Yes.
Now, the individuals importing these items would be required to acquire a permit prior to the goods arriving in country.
You can't just
Yes.
import.
No.
And then
it's a
come to
means of
customs.
control to ensure you have the Ministry of Agriculture as well, for disease control, etc., health and wellness of our population. So in applying for these permits, individuals have to go to each entity. What we are promoting now with the Trade Board is the establishment of an e-trade platform, similar to what the Trade Board currently operates, where you go online, apply for your permit, pay for your permit, and it tells you what requires a permit. The application is processed electronically, and you are issued with your permit electronically, and customs gets a copy of that permit. So if one were to tamper with the permit, as we have seen cases recently with some agricultural permits, by having sight of the permit independently, you can quickly check at the point of clearance, or at the point when you're processing the entry, customs entry. What we are now doing is working with the ministries, departments, and agencies to establish a coded list of the range of products that require permits. That enables the importing public to be able to predict what needs a permit. Also, we have to guarantee a processing time. So an individual must know that it takes either 5 days or 4 days or 7 days to get this permit.
So this is where accountability comes in.
Accountability.
So customs will hold itself responsible.
Yes.
For delivering within that time.
Yes. Because we are the persons at the border. But throughout that whole importation activity, if a person has a challenge at any stage, once the goods land, they cannot be cleared without the permit. And if the permit is issued after it lands, customs now sees them in breach of not having a permit at the time when the import took place, which results in a fine.
Yes.
So our view is that you have all these items listed. Individuals are aware of what requires, or they can check. They apply in advance and they are guaranteed a processing time. If it is that due to some glitch, as has happened, the regulatory agency can indicate to customs that in this particular case or these applicants, the fault was ours, and we would issue just a warning letter. Now, once you have all of those applications on an electronic platform, it means an individual really doesn't need to go anywhere. He or she can just stay there and do their application.
Yes.
It's uploaded to our system, and when they do their entry, those items are scanned in electronically or fed in electronically from the source. So that in itself cuts down time.
Absolutely.
Reduces the risk of penalties.
Yes.
We've had a case where sometimes it takes 2 months or more for an entity to get a permit. And as much as they will have a hazard a guess as to when they're going to get it,
No guarantee.
they have to bring in their products to be in business,
Yes.
and then they get breached.
Yeah.
So we're not in the business of breaching people innocently.
So this,
But
by
we-
increasing the efficiency,
Yes,
will
so from the
help to
government side, we
prevent-
have to
yes.
make that condition, that make the environment, conducive to business.
So this strengthens ease of doing business. We take a break at this point. When we come back, Commissioner Reese will talk about the bill, the customs bill that is before Parliament and which has already generated some controversy. We take a short break.
I am Philip Paulwell, the Minister of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining. I watch every time, issues and answers, and so should you.
Nobody want to plant the corn. Everybody want to read the band. Who you are go blame it on when it's a next man? You are deep in pan. Well, you're wrong.
Farmers, let us be serious about predial larceny. It is affecting all of us. If you are aware of incidents of predial larceny, make contact with your local police station or call Crime Stop at 311. Predial larceny is everybody's business.
Me want to take it all. No mind if me stall. Them no business if me back against the wall. This a living sometime making me ball. Seems like they...
Welcome back. We have with us Commissioner of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Major Richard Reese, and we will now be talking about a customs bill that is before the Committee of Parliament and will be before Parliament itself very soon. Commissioner, some in the private sector have said that this bill is just a ruse to get more money, to make more revenue, because you're increasing penalties in certain categories. I mean, how do you respond to that? What's the thrust?
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to share with the public that internationally, Jamaica is one of the few countries that have engaged stakeholders in seeking to amend its laws. Not only with the Customs Act, but with a number of pieces of legislation.
That's not generally done.
No. You generally hear that a law
It's been passed.
is before Parliament,
Yes.
it's debated and
Passed.
so. So the first amendment was done in 2014, and this phase involved aspects related to advanced cargo manifest, advanced passenger information, establishment of an electronic customs system. Phase 2, which is the bill that is currently before the Joint Select Committee, seeks to look at revision of key definitions to support electronic submission of documents. So I'm just dealing with the highlights. Rate of duty as it relates to the foreign exchange rates, and it speaks to the methodology that is applied. So it is the Bank of Jamaica weighted average rate. Let's say you have a rate published on Friday, it would apply to Saturday, Sunday, or if a public holiday was on a Monday, until the next rate is published. So we are presuming that we work 7 days a week. The temporary imports, it also speaks to the Commissioner having the power to waive in whole or in part the security bond during the period that that temporary import is in the island. Now that speaks more to entertainment, conferences, sports tourism, etc., where people are coming in. You have cricket matches. The television equipment alone could run you a $40 million deposit, and that in itself would be prohibitive to the media enterprises.
That's right.
Dispute resolution is another area which is addressed in this bill, and cross-border movement of cash, both in and out of Jamaica. The duty of importers to keep records and provide access to information, and enforcement of powers to include garnishment. This is to be in line with the Tax Administration Jamaica Commissioner General's powers. So some of it is harmonization. Increase in quantum of penalties. A feature of the penalties, though, is that you have a maximum penalty, and in a number of instances, the Commissioner would have powers based on the situation, as opposed to having a fixed penalty, and if you are guilty, then that's a fixed penalty. I think a number of persons haven't understood that too clearly, but it was clarified today at the
Joint Select
Committee.
Committee. So the Commissioner, so you as Commissioner, you do have discretionary powers.
Based on the response of the importer, the documentation that is presented, and the circumstance.
So it's not as rigid as some might have thought before.
In addition to that, matters related to the movement of goods by land. I noticed the private sector speak to by road, but we know that rail can become a reality in the future. So we're speaking about moving it coastwise, moving it by land, transshipment, transit. All of those issues will be addressed. Now, based on some of the deliberations today, the committee may consider advancing some of the amendments that were scheduled for phase 3 into phase 2. But we have always contemplated a 3-phased approach, because we know that the Special Economic Zone Act is to also be implemented. And we have to harmonize the Customs Act with that act, because there are certain aspects of free zone activities where you have customs administration control. So in the 3rd phase, we will seek to address advanced rulings. The movement of goods, as I said, may come in the 2nd phase. It may be brought forward. The mitigation of penalties.
So the movement of goods now would affect the special economic zones?
Yes, but you can move between zones currently under the current law. But movement by road would require permission from the Commissioner.
That's right.
Regulating of industry professionals. Those are the shipping agents and the freight forwarders and so. So you're bringing in a licensing regime like brokers, consolidation of containers, rules for operating the customs system, and ministerial orders. So there are a number of other trade facilitation aspects to be included, and this will come out of the previous dialogue and the current dialogue, which is taking place.
Well, you would say the overall rationale of these changes would be what? What you're seeking to do?
Basically, what we're seeking to do is, for those who are compliant, you'll get speedy processing. Your risk level will be low, and for those who are non-compliant, then the penalties are there. And
so those who are compliant shouldn't be worried about the increase in the penalties?
No.
Don't worry about whether this is a revenue enhancing measure.
And if we look at other jurisdictions, and it has happened here, an individual discovers that they have breached. Customs has not yet discovered it. In other jurisdictions, if you report yourself.
Yes.
It changes the picture. Mitigates. We have had entities here who, when they do their audits, they come across an error. They report it to us before our auditors go in. So yes,
That helps.
yes, you still have to pay the duties, but when it comes to penalties, then you have some consideration there.
Okay. Yes. So these changes are to protect the integrity of the system as well as the efficiency.
System and facilitate trade.
Yes. Does custom have a close relationship, close collaboration with your clients, with the industry associations and so on?
Maybe by reading articles in the media, persons may not have that impression. But we have a monthly quality assurance meeting, which is what World Customs speaks to as a best practice, where all stakeholders meet to discuss issues related to level of service, performance, etc., or any systemic issue. We also have regular meetings with the Jamaica Manufacturers Association, the Shipping Association, and the Jamaica Exporters Association. And I will even go further. Our advisory board, the chairman is the president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. The president of the Shipping Association is a member of that board. We have members from the the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport and Works, which would cover the Port Authority, Airports Authority, etc. We have representatives from the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture. So the advisory board is a public-private partnership. And in addition, all the legislative changes related to incentives, the Ministry of Finance had set up an incentive working group to have a public-private partnership in determining that new incentive regime. The ministry will now have what is called a fiscal linkages committee, which will continue that process so that if there's any disagreement or issue relative to development and incentives, it can be taken there very quickly.
Commissioner, what is being done to reduce the corruption among staff? That has been the perception.
Yes.
That staff of customs are corrupt. People say that's one job, nobody wants to leave, no matter how lowly paid. That's a job to keep.
Or it's a job in high demand.
The opportunity for corruption is so high. What are you doing about that? Put your own house in order.
Yes. Currently, the organization has approximately 17 persons on interdiction or investigation. We have seen 2 convictions this year, and we have a number of other cases investigating where primarily related to currency issues, and we also have internal investigations currently underway. So from the agency perspective, you have the Revenue Protection Division, which investigates issues related to customs and tax administration, Jamaica, and we also have our own internal investigation system. So each time an incident occurs, whether it involves an importer, a broker, or an officer, then the action is taken. But my view is that if you change the system and put in a better system with controls, you will have a more strategic approach to accountability and control.
And that's what you've been doing. Thank you so much. Commissioner of the Jamaica Customs Agency, Richard Reese, spending time with us, telling us about the changes that have taken place at this executive agency. We thank you for your company. Next week, I'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
If the call centers in Jamaica have to shut down, you know how many people would lose their work?
Thousands.
If the tourists stop come to Jamaica, you know how many people would have suffer?
Hundreds of thousands. People, don't skin up with no scammer. Don't take them blood money. It is killing Jamaica. Help put them away.
Silence brings violence.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Each person who intends to go into business must decide on the legal structure best suited to his or her needs. The staff at the company's Office of Jamaica, COJ, is willing and capable to assist in making such critical decisions. Next, a crash course on how to register a business before you venture off to the COJ. Have you realized that more and more Jamaicans are becoming their own bosses? Think about it. Varying types of companies or businesses are being opened all over the island. But before they could start their operations, they first had to be registered with the company's Office of Jamaica, COJ. The process to register a business and a company are not the same. In fact, many believe that a company is the same as a business, but they really aren't. A company is a non-profit or profit-generating commercial enterprise registered or incorporated under the Companies Act, while a business is a sole trader or partnership registered under the Business Names Act. So with that said, we will be differentiating the registration process for each of these two groups for you. Let's begin with how to register a business. For new applicants, you will need to complete and submit the Business Registration Form BRF1, also known as the Super Form. You will also need a document verifying the owner or owner's current place of address, such as a driver's license or utility bill. The business owner or owners must present their tax registration number or TRN, an original valid government identification card, and a work permit or exemption letter where applicable. Professional certification is required for some businesses, such as doctors, lawyers, dentists, pharmacists, engineers, architects, surveyors, real estate dealers and developers, custom brokers, hairdressers, barbers, pest control operators, child care and golden age care services. Now, the last thing left to do is to pay the necessary registration fees. The registration fee of a sole trader is $2,500. To register a partnership of 2 to 5 persons is also $2,500. The registration fee of a partnership of 6 to 20 persons is $5,000. And the registration of a partnership and a trade name as it relates to a corporation is $3,000 each. After you've submitted all the relevant documents and made the requisite payments, the documents will be verified by the COJ. Then, within 2 working days, you will receive a certificate of registration. This certificate is valid for 3 years, and the TRN and NIS number of your business will be displayed at the base. Certification ensures that you are registered with the National Housing Trust and Heart Trust NTA. Now, let's move on to how to register your company. There are some company owners who, before registering their non-profit or profit-generating company, reserved their company name. The COJ has made it possible for these persons who may not be able to afford the fees associated with the registration of their company, or who are in the process of accumulating the relevant documents, to first reserve a name for their company up to 90 days before it's registered. This is a very beneficial opportunity because if you do this, you will 1. Establish that the proposed name is appropriate and available for use. 2. Protect the name from use by others during the 90 days reservation period. And 3. Allow your company assured use of the name for pre-incorporation contracts. So, if you decide to reserve the name of your company and reap the benefits, you will need to do 2 things. Complete and submit the company's name search and name reservation form, Form 6. And when that's done, you'll be required to pay a fee of $500 for the name search and $3,000 for the name reservation. At the end of the process, you will receive a letter advising you of the reservation of your company name. But if you choose to go right ahead and register your company, there are a few things to do. First on the list, complete the Articles of Incorporation form. If you are registering a profit-making company, you will complete Form 1A. But if you are registering a non-profit company such as a church, charity, service club, or NGO, you will be required to complete Form 1B. When completing the forms, you should ensure they contain details such as the name of the company with the word limited added at the end, the core business of the company, the classes of shares and the maximum number of shares that the company is authorized to issue. For example, 1,000 ordinary shares. restrictions on share transfers, minimum and or maximum number of directors, names and particulars of the proposed directors and the company secretary, names of proposed shareholders, as well as any restrictions on the business that the company may carry on. For example, the company may not support any political party. All articles will attract a stamp duty fee. Stamping is done at the COJ. The second thing to do to register your company is to complete the Business Registration Form BRF1, also known as the Super Form. On this form, you will be filling in the required information needed on the principal director, all other directors, the company secretary, registered office, and the projected start date. These details are now mandatory for the registering of a company. The super forms should be signed by all the directors of the company, as well as the person declaring the accuracy of the information submitted on the form. This person must present an original valid government-issued identification or a certified copy of a government-issued identification card on location. The final thing to do is to pay transaction fees. The cost for registration is $24,000, and there is a minimum of $500 for stamp duty. After you've gone through all the steps and made the requisite payments, COJ will verify the documents, and then you'll receive a certificate of incorporation within 5 working days. With the certificate of incorporation, you will also receive the company's TRN and NIS number. The certification ensures that you are registered with the National Housing Trust and Hard Trust NTA. You also get a tax compliance certificate, TCC, which is valid for 90 days. If the time period to get your certificate is too long and you want to register at the soonest possible time, then you can make use of the expedition services offered by the COJ. There's the same-day service, which can be accessed at a cost of $6,000 for companies and $3,000 for businesses. Then there's the next-day express service, which can be accessed at a cost of $3,000 for companies and $1,500 for businesses. The cutoff time for the same-day express service is 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. for the next-day express service. And that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact the company's Office of Jamaica for more information by calling 908-4419 or visiting their office at 1 Grenada Way, Kingston 5. Remember, you can access all forms and samples on the COJ's website at orcjamaica.com. Congratulations to you and all the best with your business or company. Last Sunday, downtown Kingston witnessed a historic moment. The Simon Bolivar Cultural Center was opened. World-renowned maestro Gustavo Dudamel was also on hand to conduct the National Youth Orchestra of Jamaica and the Youth Symphony Orchestra of Venezuela. Sit back, relax, and listen to this musical artistry. On this, what you do today can improve all your tomorrows. Words of writer Ralph Marston. Carrie Ann Smith signing off for Jamaica Magazine. For more on the changes at the customs and other stories, click on our webpage, jis.gov.jm. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, so log on and stay in the know. Have a happy Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.